In this video I built a railing for our stairwell. Well, I'll tell you everything about our plans for this year.
Happy New Year!
This wood's been sitting here for a while, waiting for the right day with motivation and good weather to build the railing of the stairs. And while we work on it, we can discuss the plans for this year. Diluting it a little bit. Over the past months, I've been taking it kind of easy, enjoying the holidays. Oh man, why did I put stickers on this stuff? Basically just a little holiday. I did need a break after over a year of renovating. So while having a break, I also had a lot of time to think about all the little things that still have to be done around the house. Inside the house, not much, but still some little things that need to be checked off the list. For example, the railing of the stairs. But also a bunch of little things like hanging up some curtains. And I would like to finish most of the task for indoor work until March. Because in March the weather starts to get better, and when the weather gets better, it's time to start working in the garden. I have already prepared the list of the vegetables that we would like to grow this year. Ordered the seeds for it. I still have a lot of seeds remaining from last year. And this year I would like to apply companion planting to help grow strong and healthy vegetables, but mostly to serve as pest repellent. Companion planting is when you plant beneficial plants close to each other that help each other growing, like providing shade or attracting or distracting insects. And this year in the vegetable garden I would like to use wood chips for mulching. So I got an electric wood chipper and I quickly tried it out. It seems to be doing the job. So I think in spring I'm gonna have a day of chipping wood. And another very important job to tackle in early spring is the septic tank. We've used our septic tank the way it came with the house. Basically a concrete box in the ground. It's about this large, with no outlet whatsoever. Just a lid on the top from which you can get it emptied. And I haven't thought much about it. I figured we'll just get it emptied once in a while, maybe a few times per year, and be done with it. But of course it makes sense that if you're using 4 to 5 cubic meters of water when you live in an apartment, you should expect to use at least as much while living in a house. That means in about 2 months' time the tank fills up. And who would have thought that emptying a septic tank costs about 20 euro per cubic meter? Now that's probably pretty cheap for a lot of other places in the world, but here for us that's a lot of money. The plan is not to change the septic tank, but to make a modification, keeping the old tank of 8 cubic meter as a primary tank in which the solids will gather. But instead of emptying it out, I want to create an overflow into a secondary tank on that side. And for that I'm looking at a tank of 2 compartments which provide an additional step of filtration. And then from that tank an outflow with a drain field over there. We only don't have access for an excavator, so I'm going to have to dig the hole by hand. I think it's probably best to wait for spring to get started with this job. So step 1 is done. I'm going to let this dry. Out here in the sun there's a little bit of a breeze, so that should dry relatively quickly. And then I can sand it down for the first time before I actually start working on it. In the meantime I can take the measurements upstairs. Once it's all sanded I can start cutting. And another thing I would like to do this year is to make the workshop. Over here at the side of our barn we got this little lean on. And we have this old kitchen, or a part of an old kitchen, including a countertop, from which I would like to create a workshop. I've already put in some boards of OSB as a back wall for tools and stuff like that. I would like to get this done this year as well. And when the workshop is ready, I can get to the terrace. Because currently the terrace is the workshop, with 2 closets full of tools, building materials, other stored stuff. And of course we won't really use it in the winter, so it's fine for the moment. But once the weather starts getting better in May, it would be nice to be able to sit out here on the terrace. And then something else I would like to do this year, if our finances allow it, is change the roof of our barn. It's currently a 60-year-old roof. It's holding up pretty well. It's so dark here. But I need a really long ladder in order to reach all the way up to change roof tiles, which I'm not really a fan of. I don't have a ladder that's long enough to reach all the way up. Only the last 2 or so meters I can't reach, and it doesn't feel particularly comfortable climbing up and standing so tall. And we have some roof tiles, for example that one there, that are cracked and they leave through a little bit of water. As a result, the beam is getting wet and the wood bug is starting to eat from it, which is not good for the structure of it. As for the work of actually changing the roof, I don't think I should be doing that myself. We'll be looking for a crew to do this job. Hopefully the wooden frame can stay, so we would only have to put up the new metal roof, which is very maintenance friendly. I just installed a new Velcro pad for the hand sander, while telling you our plans for the solar panels. And the camera didn't record. So I'm going to be standing here and tell you the whole story again. We also have the plan to install solar panels on the roof of our house. Last year we applied for funding, which is pretty challenging to get because you have to submit your application within the first minute of opening. But we managed to do it, so we're really excited. We're going to have solar panels. So this year a company is going to come and install, I think, 8 kilowatts of panels on our roof. We also would like to change from monophase to triple phase electricity in order to have more stable electricity. So when we have solar panels, we will be mostly energy self-sufficient, which is really nice. This winter, earlier on in November, we already noticed the fireplace was having a hard time keeping up with our heating demand. So we are really happy that we installed air conditioning upstairs early on. It makes it warm upstairs in no time. Once it's turned on, 5 to 10 minutes and it's on temperature already, which is real nice. Just from the fireplace we wouldn't be able to warm up the house. It's still a little bit chilly in the kitchen, especially on the colder days. So this year we were also installing 2 additional air conditioning units, one in the living room and one in the kitchen, so that we can heat up the house with the free electricity that we make from the roof, and that way we have to burn less wood. Alright, how's that for a second recording? Alright, the paint has dried, it's time to start sanding.
if you want to make a video for YouTube, you gotta make sure to turn on your microphone. With all the wood in primer, I'm getting ready to start cutting the posts to length. The wood is 2 meters long and I need posts of about 90 centimeters plus a bit for attaching the screws. And here I figured it's probably smart to check how straight the wood is, so I can make sure to save the best ones for the horizontal bit of the railing.
I've got 8 posts of a meter, which will be the vertical bits of our railings. I'm going to start with the railing of upstairs. That will have in total 5 posts. And I'm going to make a little notch out of the bottom, 2 centimeters deep and about 16 centimeters tall, like this. This bit will sit on top of the floor. And this part will be attached to the side of the stairs opening, which is solid wood, so it will be nice and strong. One thing to keep in mind while making this notch, since they're going to go screws through this into the solid wood, is the grain of the wood. In this case the grain goes in this direction, which means if you're gonna put a screw under this angle, you walk into the risk of splitting the wood. So you should screw it in this direction to reduce the risk of splitting, which is relevant for me to determine where I'm going to cut the notch. I want my post to be 90 centimeters from the floor. The railing on top is 6 centimeters thick. That means 86 centimeters from the floor. That's where the notch will start. Okie dokie. The jigsaw. Find some young people on the countryside, but the ones that are born and raised here have a little bit of a different mentality than city people. So it was a really pleasant discovery that another young couple bought a house somewhere nearby. And they are actually doing a very similar thing, fixing up an old house on the countryside. And they are also making a vlog on YouTube. So if you're enjoying our videos, you might as well check them out as well. The channel is called Thyme and Timber, and I will leave the link for you in the description of this video. Alright, there's one more job that I have on the list for this year, and that's insulating the house. We noticed that the exterior walls are getting pretty cold, especially when there's no sun all day, which means we lose a lot of heat. It might be worth it insulating the exterior walls with, I think, 10 centimeters of rock wool. And then it's time for the router. Two clamps and 2 pieces of wood, so I can put the router on it without it sliding off my table. Let's do this. New day, continue with the job. Yesterday I finished up all the wood for the railing upstairs. I made a round edge, made the notches for the posts and put another coat of primer because it brings up the rough hairs of the freshly cut wood. So now I have to sand it off one more time. And since we do not know the final color yet, I'm just going to install them as is. But first sanding. A little trick for cables. Try to suspend your power cord so you're not standing constantly on your own cables, restricting your movement. And as it turns out, I do not have enough wood for the railing of the stairs, so I only made the railing for upstairs around the opening, which is the biggest hazard. This is why I'm preparing all the pieces outside. I don't want to have all the dust from sanding inside. Alright then, one more coat of paint. The rounded edges that I did with the router, they are a little bit rough still after sanding, so I decided to give it another coat. I did these maybe 10 minutes ago and they're already dry. Awesome weather. It's almost summer. So everything's dry. I'm sanding everything one more time, but very lightly and just by hand. Just to remove any roughness. So they're all nice and smooth now. I dusted them down so I don't take any dust inside. And now I'm going to pre-drill the screw holes. The only screws I have left here are 18 centimeter, which might be a little bit of an overkill. But the other option is 7 centimeter, since the wood is 6. That's not gonna cut it. 3.3 and 8.5. With all the holes drilled, it's now time to take them all inside. And that is our stairwell railing done. Later on we still want to add something in between these openings.
you're not quite sure what, you've been thinking about ropes, beads, some kind of a mesh or planks, maybe you can let us know in the comments what you think would be a nice solution to fill up these openings.
But it has to be creative and unique.
But it has to be creative and unique.